Every now and then I find myself browsing through my vast collection of tabletop RPG content. Physical books, digital books, the books you see behind me, and the books that are piled up over there on the other side of the camera, and believe me, it is a lot. Every now and then I find myself looking for some cool one-shot ideas for different reasons. Maybe there's a player who didn't show up to a party and I just want to play something else with the people that have shown up, or there's people who are new to tabletop RPGing and I'm looking for things to make it not too difficult for them to get into the hobby, right? And there's one book that I almost completely forgot about, and it might be the one perfect one-shot book I have in my... Hi there fellow roleplayers and game masters, my name is Mr. Trosk, and today I want to talk about first responders and why I think this might be one of, if not the best, one-shot books out there. It is a Monte Cook Games book and it is for the Cypher system, but wait until you click away and you're not like, I'm not into the Cypher system. This is completely different. First responders, I almost completely forgot that I had it in my possession. I did a video on this together with some other books by Monte Cook Games that I had while during an unboxing, and briefly talked about what it is and what it does, but I want to go deeper into this and why I think this is a perfect book for doing one-shots. And when I say one-shots, I mean one-shots, plural, because it is more than one-shot. It is not like a D&D adventure like Shore of Dreams, for example. Shore of Dreams is a D&D 5th edition adventure by Florian Emmerich and JVC Perry, and it is a great adventure. It's one of my favorite one-shots of all time, but once you played that with a party, you cannot ever play it again with the same party, right? That is the one-shot thing about being an adventure. This is a book that gives you so many one-shot ideas, and you can do it with the same party. You can do it with the same group of people. For example, you have a group of people, and every now and then a player doesn't show up. You can be like, hey, you're a group of first responders, and you do the one-shot, and you do like the entire evening of I don't know, saving people from a fire or from a blizzard or from a hurricane or whatever situation you can come up. Maybe there's a gigantic sinkhole and people fell in and they need to go rescue those people. All of those scenarios are valuable. So what you can do is maybe do the one shot, right? And then you do some more sessions of your regular D&D or 5th edition or whatever other game you're playing, right? And you're playing, and then suddenly another, like the same player, his wife went into labor, so he can't show up to the game that evening, right? So you're like, you know what, you remember those first responders you played, take those character sheets, because they're sitting in their first responder, I don't know, thing, their firefighter, I don't know, what do you call that in English? Like the place where firefighters sit and eat when there's no disaster, that place. And suddenly an alarm hits and this happens, and you go again into that one shot. And that is what, into a completely different scenario. Maybe an area of a town completely flooded and people are on their roofs and they're like, hey, get us off the roof. And they need to get into like a Zodiac boat and need to go save everybody and dodge cars that are coming at them and all of that stuff. And maybe one is a helicopter pilot by that time and they need to fly in and grab people from the roof, but there's another person in a Zodiac boat and he needs to like attach those people, and then you need to work together. All that stuff comes from this book. This is just top of my head kind of stuff, right? So first responders, for that reason, is absolutely great. Another reason first responders is really great as a one-shot thing or a new thing or a fresh thing to play at your table is because it utilizes the Cypher system. Now, before you run away, yes, it uses the Cypher system, but it uses a really simplified version of the Cypher system. And although the Cypher system is great for long campaigns in fantasy settings or superhero campaigns or whatever genre you want to play, that's where the Cypher system is good at. Where it, for me personally really shines is this kind of stuff, where you just need to come up with a number, you just need to come up with a scenario, you just need to come up with some rough idea, and there you go. You have a super simplistic system that has still has a lot of player agency, it has a lot of game master agency, but it is simple enough for your players. If you give all of your players like one pre-made character sheet as a first responder, you're like, hey, you're this dude, you're this dude, you're this dude, or pick a dude or pick a woman or whatever you want to do. One of you is a pilot, the other one drives cars, the other one knows how to put out a fire, and the other one, I don't know, is a climbing expert. Here you go, you're first responders now. It will only take like, I mean 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes for them to get to know the Cypher system well enough in order to start really playing the first responders game, and they will absolutely love it. Believe me, not everybody loves the Cypher system for fantasy games like long campaigns and all that stuff, but almost everybody loves the Cypher system for this kind of one-shot stuff that you want to play at your table quickly, and that is why I think first responders, the combination of it being an idea, like a work tool, more like a toolbox for your one shots, and it utilizing the Cypher system in a perfect way, is just so. This is just a great book. It is absolutely insane. Let's take a look at the PDF, and this is it, the PDF to first responders. Now, this is not like an in-depth review on or anything. This is just me showing what's inside and why I think what is inside is really smartly done. Now, it uses the Cypher system, as I said, but it uses the Cypher system in a way that I think everybody should be able to play this within 5, maybe 10 minutes, especially experienced tabletop RPG players who have been playing 5th edition, all that stuff. If you want, I have a video on my channel that teaches people the Cypher system within a time span of 5 minutes. Make them watch that, and then you are good to go. So basically, the table of contents right here, I just really love this. There is a new type in this book, and only one, and it's because you only need one type. So you're not gonna use the types from the Cypher system. You're not gonna build a barbarian or a fighter or a rogue or whatever other spellcaster or thing that you can come up with. You're not gonna build that for this. What you need is a new type, and this new type is just easily called a responder. It's a new type to play. It has new descriptors, it has new foci, it has new gear, and it has new equipment, all for this book. And basically, what you do in this book is you are a first responder. Look at this artwork. I really like the artwork of this book. Like, this is what I mean, right? There's just some people stuck on a mountain in a blizzard, or maybe somebody broke their leg or whatever, and you need to go get them out of there. And one player might be the chopper pilot, the other player might be the person using the thingy up here, the other player might be the one rappelling down to go and get those people. There's like millions of scenarios of first responder scenarios you can come up with in order to play like a really cool and exciting game. If you're the kind of game master that likes theater of the mind, like setting a scene and all of that stuff, this might be really good for you, right? So there is a let me just scroll down a little bit quickly. There is a responder type right here, which just like gives you enough stuff for you to build your own very unique responder. It uses it talks about skills, it talks about roles as responders, because there is like carpenter as a responder. Okay, a detective, a dispatcher, an electrician, a firefighter, a technician, a volcanologist, all of that stuff. Maybe you need to go grab people from a volcanic island and the volcano is erupted and lava is coming down, and you need to go grab those people. All of that stuff. There is the type, it's called a responder, backgrounds, everything you expect, and like a lot of like abilities, right? There is a first tier responder, you can choose from all kinds of basic skills. There is a second tier responder, you can use, if everybody like picks their skills that they want for their character, you're gonna have all characters of the same type, but they're all going to be different. Now, what sets this book really apart for me is, okay, there's types, okay, there's foci, okay, there's ways to build your own responder, They don't really go into an adventure. This isn't really a adventure or one or two or three adventures that are in here. Basically, there are scenarios. So what they do is they give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scenarios: fires, volcanoes, floods, earthquakes, nuclear disasters. I haven't said that yet, and pandemics. So let's just click here, right here. They are the scenarios, and here you have like a one-shot adventure scenario type of thing where you need to go get people out of a burning village, a burning house, a house fire. So there's the objective map, but this is really sandboxy in a way. Like, this is the house, it's on fire, there are like objectives in the house. Go get those objectives. Get those people out. Get the dog out. Get the freaking bunny rabbit out, depending on you as a GM. They also talk about a wildfire. Maybe there's not in the house that's on fire. Maybe you are a bunch of like wild firefighters, and you need to go, I don't know, you need to go all kinds of, if there is a traffic jam here because this is on fire and people are trying to get away from here, but the fire is closing into the road. There is oh my god, there's like I don't know, a bulldozing rescue. So there's people that need to be rescued right here. Maybe you fly in, one player flies in with like this plane to put out some of the fire around this area, and then the other players fly in with like a helicopter, and they drop down, get those people into the helicopter, and then fly off. All that stuff comes up when you talk about this. So, yeah, there's a bulldozer that's on fire, which is not good. All of that stuff is all presented in this book as a burning skyscraper. Look at this. This is amazing. This is like, oh, there's a skyscraper, there's objectives, and they talk about these objectives. They talk about what you basically like the difficulties and what you can encounter and what the difficulty of that could be. GM intrusions are all of course in here. For example, debris from the burning floors above falls. A character must dodge by making a difficulty 3 speed defense roll or take 6 points, that's a lot, damage, and be trapped until they can escape. So they're in this burning thing, and suddenly there's a GM intrusion, rubble falls down, and one of the players might get stuck, one of the player characters might get stuck, and the other ones need to go save that person. All of those scenarios are in this book. One last thing that I want to quickly talk about is disaster mode. Now the book, the first part of the book talks a lot about like how to run disaster games and how to not overplan and how to roll with the punches and give people certain goals and all that GM advice kind of stuff. So it's kind of like a GM guide to, I don't know, running shit hit the fan scenarios, right? But they come up with a disaster mode. Well, disaster mode is actually just like literally stolen from the Cypher System rulebook, where it is called horror mode. And disaster mode is just a way to give a sense of urgency to your players, but I really like it. So there is this disaster going on and your players are trying to figure out what to do and all kind of stuff. And when you as a GM see fit, you can just declare disaster mode. The players should know what disaster mode means, but then the stuff can really escalate really fast, and they need to like really think on their feet, because that really simulates a disaster situation where you need to get people from a fire or burning building or save them from a mountain while a blizzard is coming in closer and closer and closer. It really needs to simulate that, and disaster mode really simulates that sense of urgency, right? So when disaster mode begins, GM intrusions, so for the Cypher System, you as a GM, you can do a GM intrusion technically whenever you want because you're the GM, but normally Pure Rules is written kinda, a GM intrusion is something that happens, most of the time, like, to the player's disadvantage, but it also creates more storytelling stuff, right? As a GM intrusion normally happens when somebody rolls a 1, you just do a GM intrusion, and then they gain experience points that they can later spend in order to become stronger and better at what they do. But for disaster mode, a GM intrusion happens on a 1, a natural 1, and a natural 2. And then when time progresses, it starts happening on a 1, a 2, a 3, A4, A5, A6, and so on. And that is basically, in very short, basic terms, what disaster mode or horror mode, whatever genre you're playing, kind of represents. It is this clock that constantly goes up, and at a certain point you have like 1 out of 4 rolls becomes a GM intrusion, and now suddenly you're hovering with your helicopter trying to get people out of the snowy mountain, and then you roll a 4, and the GM says, well, you're trying to keep this helicopter stable and your friend is dangling down there. You look to your left and you see this blizzard thing come in, and you know that if it hits you, this bad weather, you will not be able to, like, well, if you would be able to keep your helicopter thing in the air, the people downstairs are basically fucked. So, and then they need to think on their feet and do this kind of thing, and maybe like leave some people behind or whatever, I don't know, that kind of stuff, depending on how deep you want to go into like the reality of things. But that is basically what this book is all about. It is about being a first responder in whatever scenario you want, and the GM really just rolling with the punches, coming up with all kinds of crazy things so the players can really come out heroic and save the day for a lot of people, and hopefully for most people. Until next video, bye bye.